Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, wish you all and your families a very happy and prosperous Ugadi and a wonderful year ahead. Today was an interesting day in the market, as usual. We gapped up. We made an 80-point down move, followed by a 150-point up move, followed by a 150-point down move, and then closed at the day's high by making a 250-point short covering up move. Overall, the risk reward for a triangle on a day like this would have been very good because tomorrow, whenever there's a holiday, a lot of that DK has to be incorporated because essentially, whenever these options open next, it will be expiry. So, a lot of that has to be incorporated into the pricing, which is why today's triangles would have done quite well despite the last minute up move that we saw. That being said, I managed to return a little bit more than 1.5% on my capital today. But in no way did I trade the day in the best manner possible. I got caught off guard by the short covering and reacted to it in a worse way than I should have. That being said, I hope you had a good trading day and thank you so much for watching. Have a great holiday tomorrow.
Want to meet like-minded traders and discuss option strategies, adjustments and more? Just type in Discuss Nifty in your Telegram search box and join the friendly trader community.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, wish you all a very happy Ugadi, very prosperous and happy year for your family. And hopefully it's a better one than the previous one. And that being said, had entered my position around 920 with the idea that yesterday's low should hold as a support on the Nifty and slight gap up. And it got sold in to use that opportunity to enter the position. And more or less what is happening is IT is having a bad reaction to TCS's results, which is fine, but it's stable from there. It was trading at its highs, so it is naturally expected that regardless of the outcome, good or bad result, it would tank. Secondly, Bank Nifty has made an up move and is now holding above 31,000. So that'll be something to watch to see if some kind of short covering is triggered. In terms of close by maximum open interest on the call side, 14,500 has good amount of call writing, which is why one might think we might have a short covering rally in case there's some incremental good news, especially on the COVID side. But our position for today is based on the fact that tomorrow is a holiday, being Ambedkar Jayanti, and a lot of the OTM premiums are going to erode today itself because when they open, next when market opens, it's going to be the expiry day, which means we should be able to see a good amount of decay during the day. The idea for this position is it's a 600-point triangle and within the range of 14,450 and on the downside 14,250. The idea is to not make too many adjustments to this position in case there is intraday volatility because we have a very good range. So that being said, the time is 9:45. I made some changes to my camera because of which the first clip was not recorded, but I'll keep you posted. Okay, so we're seeing a continued up move. Bank Nifty firmly holding over 31,000, now at 31,200, and Nifty as well above 14,400, now at 14,420. So to balance the trade a little bit, I've moved up the puts to 14,100, which is good. We still have over 320 points on the downside and 180 points on the upside from our calls. These calls are not particularly expanding. The puts didn't particularly go down either, which is why market is not expecting at this point big short covering. At least these positions are not getting covered. So this is why I don't want to too aggressively take put side credit. This should be a good enough point where it's still a very nice spread from where it is. So it's almost 10 o'clock and we're already up about 15 points. The idea for the day will be to take home 10 points regardless of the outcome. So have set stop losses accordingly as well. Okay, so half the calls have been rolled down to 14,550. The reason for this is we're seeing this dip below 14,400. There's good amount of put writing at 14,400 and below, so not exactly expecting massive unwinding. And the idea will be if the low of this candle, this particular candle, gets taken out, so something like 14,360, then we'll roll the remainder of these calls down as well. So we'll not be in a rush to do that. And it's more or less the plan of action at this point of time. So we have a good amount of distance from the put side. We have close to 300 points for options that are expiring on the next trading day. So Not too concerned about the puts expanding. I have moved down half the calls because there's really not much premium left in the 14600 call. So that being the case, we'll keep you posted. Time is 10:36. We're up close to 20 points, and yeah, we have a very good risk reward at this point of time with these options. So we'll keep you posted. Okay, so IT is crashing at this point, and yeah, it looks quite weak. So I don't know what happens there. Reliance and Bank Nifty are both fine. IT is crashing. So we don't see too much weakness coming if Reliance and Bank Nifty don't participate in the downside. But just to keep our position covered and also lock in some amount of market, have moved the calls down to 14,550. So all of our calls are at 14,550 now. And yeah, the puts remain at 14. Okay, so we're now testing 14,350 on the downside. If we head below 14,350, then we'll be moving 50% of the calls once again to 14,500. And if we hold there, we'll move the rest. We'll wait and see if we bounce off 14,350. If we don't, then we'll make the appropriate changes. Okay, so some kind of sell-off below 14,350, mainly from IT. Bank Nifty and Reliance not doing anything, it's just IT, and I have to protect for that. Initially moved down 50% of these, so initially moved down 50% and then had to move down the rest because yeah, required to balance. So regardless, now have moved down all of the calls to 14,500. On the upside we have about 160 points. On the downside we have far more space. We have much more space. If we head back around 14,370, then we'll be moving away the calls once again. So that will be the plan in case we have a reversal. But yeah, these puts are very far away. That's why when we do see a fall, they do expand. But then as soon as we even hold, they start losing value. Okay, basically heading back to 14,300 now. So now what is happening is both Bank Nifty and Reliance are kind of starting to take part in this down move. There were a lot of positions built up yesterday around 14,300. So the question now will be is, will 14,300 hold or will we slide below? So obviously now this looks a little imbalanced, but actually it is more or less at 14,300 perfectly centered from this triangle. So the idea will be if we test 14,300 and head below 14,300, we'll square off half the puts and move them to 14,000. And if we continue to slide there, move 30 points or hold below 14,300, then we'll move the rest of the puts. Will not do much on the call side. Okay, great. So we have seen this up move happen, and now the idea is these puts immediately crashed something like 12-13 points, and these calls gained 10 points. So yeah, the intention to not move down the calls below 14,500 was very good, because what would happen is, because of the way market is moving and the fact that fear is already being priced in on the downside, which is why we had such put side premiums, rolling down the call would just be an overall bad deal. So for now, we're going to hold this position as is, thinking 14,400 should act as a resistance. So below 14,400 will not be making any changes to the position. At 14,400, we'll move away half of these calls and move up half the puts. That will be the change, but until then, nothing else. This is still really good, considering the next trading session is the expiry on a 400 points triangle. We are getting close to almost 58-59 points, which is very good. So yeah, we'll continue to hold and trail into the day. No changes to be made as such. Okay, so we're seeing some short covering at this point, and that is really blowing up the prices of the calls. These calls are expanding to 34-35, and now the worst thing I could do at this point is move up my put to 14,150 or 14,200, because I'll get a really bad price on it. A reversal will, like a quick reversal, will do a lot of damage. So that being the case, until 14,400 is tested, I'm going to hold off on making any adjustments, because it would be too quick a reaction and it would be at very bad pricing. It's not the spot that's the problem, it's the way it moved that's the problem. It really spikes up the people who sold the calls. They get really afraid really fast. So Anyway, for now we'll continue to hold exactly as it is, and at 14,400 we'll see what changes to be done. Okay, so didn't have much option, had to square off the 14,500 call and enter by selling the 14,550 call. Also moved up the puts to 14,150. Don't want to potentially stand while I see big short covering happen right in front of me, and yeah, it's not worth it. So anyway, that's the change that has been made. It's still very good. We have 240 points on the downside, so that's a good amount of downside protection, and our calls are 160 points. So still, so basically kept the same width, and still good amount of premium. Will continue to hold and trade for a day. For having the view that it will get rejected before it did, basically had to give up something like 5 points. But yeah, I think more or less the risk reward still sits very good, so we'll continue to hold. Time is 1 o'clock, and yeah, we saw a dip. It started off at 14,400 and now pulling us back to 14,350 to deal with that. So obviously we got the worst possible pricing when we moved up our puts and rolled away our calls. We had to now roll down our calls again to deal with the down move. So I guess it's just one of those things where you got where you misread on both sides. But the short covering, if it did come in, would have been far too powerful, and the rate at which the calls would have expanded would have been very difficult to deal with. But now that that's out of the way, okay to roll down the calls again. Okay, we're seeing a dip now, which is coming from Reliance. And Reliance has been at this 1930 the whole day, but out of nowhere an 8-point dip. IT is trading at the day's low, and Bank Nifty slightly above the day's low. So that being the case, what is the option premium communicating? This put is really not expanding that much because it's still very, very, very far away. It's still 200 points away, and this is going to expire on the next trading day. So this put is not really expanding. The fear for me is still that this call will expand if we see an up move. Right now, I'm not particularly afraid of this put expanding. If we do test 14,300, I will roll away the put. There's no doubt about it. But I have to protect whatever points I've captured for the day, and that'll be the only way to do it. And yeah, more or less, that's the thought process at this point of time. So test 14,300, I'll roll away half. We head below 14,300, I'll roll away all. Yeah, we have to see if volumes on Reliance pick up and if we see something like a 30-point down move, because if that comes, that 30-point down move comes, then we're definitely heading below 14,300. We'll have to see if we hold here or we head lower. Okay, massive green candle from Bank Nifty heading up to 31,300, and much of other stuff, but very erratic. I mean, we make these random 60-70 point candles. This single candle would have stopped out so many people. It's very easy to get stopped out in either direction. What is our trade looking like? It's looking exactly the same. It's going to continue looking exactly the same. We don't want to get played by short-term volatility here and there. The spread is more or less trading slightly above 60, 61, 62. And yeah, if the day continues to be like this will trade at probably 50 towards close. Or maybe not even that much, depends, because tomorrow's a holiday. So yeah, these had gone down all the way to 20, and yeah, in a matter of seconds expanded immensely. Yeah, matter of 10 minutes from 20, almost doubled. Regardless, it doesn't affect our position too much because we have a counter position. We'll see this time if we break above this. So if we break above this, then we have to once again scram from the call side. So this is the second time that we roll down our calls, and will be appropriately having to cover at a higher price. But let's see. Right now I'm very comfortable with our position as is. 14,500 should be a good resistance, and rises should be sold into rises towards 14,500. But yeah, TCS down 5% today. Probably time to start adding rather to portfolio. Okay, sitting through an IV spike on the call side. Big up move, mainly coming from Bank Nifty, pulling Nifty to 14,400. Really expanded these calls big time, and yeah, the puts aren't necessarily going down in price. So basically a call side IV expansion. Plan for now will be to hold and need a convincing break here. So this is where we've been rejected from before. Need a convincing up move here. IT still continues to trend lower the entire day, lower high, lower low situation, and Reliance is not doing anything. Bank Nifty did make an up move, but 31,500 should see selling. And it's 60 points away from there. So that being the case, do not want to react too quickly to the IV expansion on this call, and once again have the same situation as last time. So will hold. If we do make a 20-30 point up move from here, I should be losing something like 5 points. But that's basically what I'm going to keep my view as, that unlikely that we see a continued up move, and this should then start to decay. So I'm not going to be too quick in moving away the calls as of yet, because even if I do move them to 14,550, not going to be getting much premium. In case we see a 50 point dip, again these expand back to 37 rigmarole. Okay, very unfortunate, but couldn't exit at a great price. So exited the 14,500 call at quite a high price, so 46.47, and entered the 14,550 call sell, and also moved up the put to 14,200. Yeah, lost about 10 points there. Very unfortunate. Within a 20 point move on the Nifty, because the rate at which the call spiked was very, very high. And yeah, I think if we take the day's high out, more or less, which is 14,450, then we'll have to roll the calls all the way to 14,600. So that is the only option left now. And yeah, Bank Nifty really rocketing. That's what is leading to this. And IT might have made a bottom, one of the two. So still an hour and a half to go. We'll keep you posted. The current position is 14,200, 14,550 strangle, which has 65 points in it. Okay, 256, basically half an hour to go for market to close. Really bled on the calls. So really bled, despite rolling up the calls at different points. Really bled on the calls, and got quite a bit of damage because of that. Still up more than 1% for the day, but had I dealt with the short covering better, would have been in a better position, should have had more control in the trade. Regardless, it's about half an hour to go, and I'm at this point just trailing my stop loss by 2.5-3 points, and the idea will be to exit at the best possible mark to market that we can get, which will only be possible if we don't see any big trend in the last 30 minutes. Okay, about 3 minutes to go, and yeah, not expecting much to happen to the put and call, so it's going to start exiting. Okay, so not a lot of slippage, and finally closed at 230 for the day. That works out to 1.5% or so. Could have been a better day. I got caught off guard by the short covering, and yeah, overall still a decent day. I think majorly the reason we ended in green is because tomorrow is a holiday, and a lot of premium had to get shaved off. Anyway, tomorrow is a holiday, which means break. We can always review the data close of tomorrow and see how to trade the expiry. By Thursday, I should have some more of my funds from the other account transferred here, so should be back to business as usual. Thank you so much for watching. Wish you all a great Ugadi. Have a nice holiday tomorrow in case you're off, and I will see you next on Thursday. Have a great evening.
Thank you for watching. Please post any questions you have in the comment section. Also, do not forget to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. To find us on Twitter, Telegram and Facebook, use the username NiftyBN. Also, we post some of our trades to the community tab. So do not forget to check that from time to time.